Well, I mean, I would rather start with the Bengals. I was going to save them for a little bit later, to be honest, but I'm fine with starting with them. It was a great exercise for me as a new fan of the Bengals to learn a little bit about their history, some of their guys who came before, and I actually kind of feel a little bit closer to this team I'm calling home now for it. And this is our we've said this multiple times. This is our favorite part of the whole process is that we get to learn so much more about football history.
Yeah,
gotta love it.
We know more about most teams and a lot of fans do. So
granted,
like people who love these teams don't even know like the best players from the 40s.
Yep.
That were on this team.
Yep. No, I very much love this opportunity to sit down and look at classic Bengals team and figure out why people fucking love them, even though we don't have a Super Bowl ring. So. That being said, I actually starting with our coach. I went Forrest Gregg over Marvin Lewis, over Paul Brown. I think that's the right move for sure. He's the type of guy. I mean, he turned this team from a 4-12 team to a 6-10 team. Then eventually brought us to a Super Bowl. This is the guy that you want, especially for a locker room. This is the coach that brought the Bengals together. I think if anyone kind of resembles the Bengals as a kind of a leader in this situation, I gotta go Forrest. I think he's the man.
That was my second choice.
Yep.
I went with Marvin Lewis. I would love to have done Forrest Gregg. I was a little bothered by the fact he was only there 3 years.
That's fair.
And Paul Brown, big consideration.
Of course.
I thought that his best years of coaching were in another spot.
I agree.
And I went with Marvin Lewis because he was the longest tenured Bengals coach, had the best winning percentage, or among the best. Got to the playoffs with Carson Palmer and Andy Dalton. Obviously didn't win in the playoffs, but that's really the only place he ever stumbled.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that's pretty much every Bengals coach ever.
Fair enough.
Like I'm just saying, like honestly, Cincinnati. This is one of the first teams that did not have like a standout cut above one level above everybody else head coach. So I went with the one that was really consistent for a really long time, and he made the Bengals competitive when he had the Steelers, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Colts, all those type of teams to contend with. And he still had a record that was a winning one, got to the playoffs a lot with Carson Palmer, with Andy Dalton. Just couldn't get over the hump in the playoffs. And honestly, should have if Vontaze Burfict and Pac-Man Jones didn't decide to royally screw up.
That one?
Yeah. So, like, honestly, he should have had a playoff breakthrough, but stuff just worked out that way. But yeah, this was the toughest one for me to decide, like I said, because the Bengals, they didn't really have a clear-cut head coach. They had a couple dudes that were good, but I also just figured I don't want to go with the dude who was only there 3 years and then bounced to Green Bay.
And granted, totally get that. I think there's a reason he ended up going to Green Bay, which is exactly my issue with Marvin Lewis as somebody who, watching the outside looking in, completely unbiased, I never really trusted in Marvin Lewis. Like, it seemed that the locker room was like, how do you not control Vontaze Burfict? Like, how do you not keep?
Well, no one did.
Granted, no one did, but I think there's a lot of situations where Marvin Lewis did not control the locker room. He let the locker room kind of go crazy, and that's what leads to playoff bungles like that, which is the
Bungles, baby.
I hate that fucking Granted, I don't even know why I hate it.
Are you guys Houday or Houdat?
Today.
Okay.
Houdat
Saints
is Saints.
Saints is Houdat. Yeah. I always get it mixed up because they all have the same damn rhythm to the chant too.
It is a tough one. I think this is the guy that, like, if you give me the best Bengals teams that Marvin Lewis had, and you put Forrest Gregg in that situation, I don't think the mistakes come out as much. I don't think the bungles.
Do you think they get to the Super Bowl?
I don't know about that. But I will say I think there's more playoff consistency.
Okay.
As a constant wild card in a division with a great Steelers team.
Well, that's part of why I gave this to him, because that's exactly what the Bengals were.
And I'll give him that, but I think absolutely Forrest Gregg could do the exact same thing Marvin Lewis did, but have playoff success.
Okay, that's fair.
And control the locker room.
Yeah, again, like I said, this is I don't have anything wrong with that choice. I didn't feel overly strongly about the head coach for the Bengals choice. So I went with the dude who was there the longest.
And Marvin Lewis did end up getting Coach of the Year, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I think I don't think he's a bad coach by any means, nor do I think like Marvin Lewis isn't the right pick. It's just whenever I think of Marvin Lewis, I think of wasted opportunity.
Yep.
And that's I would hate for
It's weird.
a team
that
like
comes
this.
to mind a lot when I think of the Bengals in general.
Shut up. But not anymore.
That's crazy.
We're a new team now.
Well, I mean, you just wasted a pretty big one.
Which one?
Oh, the Super Bowl.
I wanted to pretend. I think we weren't even supposed to be there.
No, you weren't.
I would say the fact that we made it there and were competitive that entire game gives me a lot of confidence going into this next
that
game.
was absolutely like a win for you guys. I'm just being shitty.
Nah, good.
Yeah. All right, so I think we're going to agree at quarterback. Did we both go with what we're projecting for?
Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Ken Anderson, especially after I looked at some of the stuff that he, did through this whole process, how good of a quarterback he was. I wanted to put him.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Joe Burrow's a man.
I put Joe Burrow. He doesn't even have any accolades as far as like Pro Bowls or All Pros or anything like that. He'll get those as they come.
Yeah.
But
this is his first full season. He's only 2 in.
He'll get all that as time goes on.
Yeah.
I'm still not certain if he'll win a Super Bowl or not in Cincinnati, but I think by the time he's done, he'll be the best quarterback in Bengals history, and I feel really confident in that.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest thing that would hold Joe Burrow back is the fact that the Bengals are a notorious penny pinching organization, and as soon as they have to pay these young dudes that they drafted well, that's when we'll really find out how committed the Bengals are.
It's a good point. It'll definitely be interesting to see, especially with this whole Jesse Bates situation going on.
Yep.
Seeing the safety market now, I'm honestly with the Bengals. I think trade, get some value for him ASAP, and because he didn't report to camp.
Yeah.
And roll with Daxton Hill, who you drafted in the first round. Even if he's not Jesse Bates year one, who cares? The pass rush is going to be great.
Yeah.
And he can learn on the fly.
I don't think that they're going to get somebody to trade for him on the franchise tag, though.
Yeah.
Because that's a first-round pick minimum, and nobody's going to trade that for a safety. Not him, anyways, who's only had one really consistently good year.
He's been an anchor to this defense for sure.
Well, 2020 was great.
Mm-hmm.
2021 slumped in the regular season. Great postseason. And that's been the extent of him being really good. So I don't think you're going to get, nobody would trade what the franchise tag demands.
That's fair.
For that. So you'd have to take it off him, and then he's a free agent.
Yeah.
So you're basically stuck. It's
a very interesting situation. Find a way to trade him is all I'm asking for. Is get some value out of this, because he's not coming back. So if this is a situation where we get nothing out of it, it's better than paying him, to be completely honest. And this is no dig against Jesse Bates at all. I was very much of the.
Let's get back to the offense, though.
Yes, my bad.
No, you're all good. I just realized in my head, I was like, oh, we've been going off.
Yeah, we just started talking about Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And now we were talking about modern Bengals.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow, like I said, I don't think you don't need to win a Super Bowl to become the best quarterback in Bengals history. I think that he might get one. I don't know if I'd put it at more than one. But, from what I've seen from Joe Burrow, I think he'll be the guy for the Bengals for a long time.
I think he locks up one for sure. I think this might be a conversation in 20 years we're having where it's like, man, if only we'd won that first Super Bowl, we'd have 2 or 3.
You better hope it's not. We'd have 1.
I don't think it will be. I'm confident in this team. I'm confident in Joe Burrow himself. I think absolutely Joe Burrow gets a ring sometime.
All right.
Sometime in the future.
Who you got at running back?
Oh, Corey Dillon.
Me too.
Yep.
I thought you were going to go Joe Mixon.
I wanted to.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I went with a guy who I think it was 6,000 yard seasons on a terrible team, on terrible Bengals teams.
All-time leading Bengals rusher.
All-time
3
Bengals
Pro
rusher.
Bowls.
I very much am a fan of Joe Mixon. Big time. I actually just traded Derrick Henry for Joe Mixon in a keeper league because there's no A.J. Brown over in Tennessee, and he's coming off an injury. We'll see. I like Joe Mixon with that O-line big time. But yeah, I think
I don't like how much they're going to throw it.
I think we run it a lot more now so that Joe Burrow doesn't have to throw it as much, so that we can throw it over the top still and do what we do with Jamar Chase when they're playing run. We throw it over deep with Jamar, but we'll see. We'll have to see. But I think we have an O-line now that can support a run game, and Joe Mixon is a 1,000-yard rusher multiple times with no O-line, so we'll have to see. I think when it's all said and done, maybe Joe Mixon is the guy that we're talking about, like Corey Dillon, but Corey Dillon is a little bit more proven. Yeah, he's a little bit of a head case in the locker room from what I hear. But
There's a few of those on this Bengals roster.
which is why I bring in Forrest Gregg, because I was like, I think this is the guy to keep this dumbass team together sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Corey Dillon, I think it's the right call.
Yeah, me too. Again, it's a tough one. I think Joe Mixon could easily pass him.
Yeah.
At some point.
Oh yeah.
But he hasn't really done it yet. Again, Joe Mixon's also been sort of up and down in his career. He only started really trending up the last 2 years. But
he's been consistent though. He's been consistently, like, they know they have a running back.
yeah, they got a running back. See, I went with Corey Dillon also, but wide receiver, number 1, I went Ocho Cinco.
I went Ocho too.
Yep. 6 Pro Bowls, 3-time first team All-Pro, a second team All-Pro also.
Bro, it's
Bengals
Ocho.
all-time leading
It's
receiver.
Ocho, yeah.
Kiss the baby.
Kiss the baby. Fuck, man, I love Ocho. He's the man, dude. I've
one of the
always
most
loved Ocho.
entertaining people in the league that's like ever been in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love him.
He's good for football, and he on Twitter is so much fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's a blast.
Yeah, I think that was an easy number 1.
Easy.
Number 2, I went AJ Green.
Same.
7 Pro Bowls, so one more than Ocho Cinco, but two-time second team All-Pro, second all-time in Bengals receiving yards history.
Easy.
In his prime, before injuries sort of took him out, AJ Green was being compared to Julio Jones. So,
yeah.
like that's all you need to know. When AJ Green was healthy and in his prime, this was somebody who was one of the best receivers in the league, like firmly in the top 5.
Without a doubt. I remember every single year it was AJ Green in fantasy. Didn't matter whose quarterback was.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter. It was Andy.
Yep.
Granted, I like Andy, but
Yeah, Andy Dalton wasn't bad. He's sort of like Baker.
I think if you're a Bengals fan who is not giving Andy his credit or not, appreciating what he did for the Bengals, go fuck yourself.
He made them relevant for almost an entire decade.
The only reason I knew about the Bengals was Andy Dalton.
Red Rifle, baby.
Yep. And I was like, no way he's good. And every year he played he played good enough.
Yep. And then wide receiver 3. This is somebody who could move up quite a bit, and that's Jamar Chase.
Yeah, absolutely. I got him too. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
One already a Pro Bowl and an All-Pro team. Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's shown the ability to ascend to the top of this list, but I think that is easier said than done. Anything can happen with these young guys, and he's got all the talent, but he's got to show more before I put him over AJ Green and Ocho Cinco, who were really good for extended periods of time.
I agree. This is a conversation I've actually had in preparation for this entire episode. Mm-hmm. Playing video games with friends, talking to friends about football. Every time I get the opportunity, I always ask this question. I go, who are the top 3 Bengals wide receivers? Mm-hmm. And it always kind of ends up, like, even the people who are educated and know who else is there.
Like Isaac Bruce or something like that.
Isaac Bruce, Jerome Simpson, like a bunch of other guys like that. We've come to the conclusion that it's very clearly at the top. Ocho, AJ, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
And Jamar Chase is a little bit more flexible just because he's been in the league for
1 year.
Only a year.
He will be firmly in that top 3.
Absolutely. I think I was the idiot who said draft Sewell. I was like, draft Sewell, protect
Listen,
Joe Burrow.
I don't think you'd have been an idiot either way. I think both those things were fine. Penei Sewell played well in Detroit after week 1. Mm-hmm. That was something where you couldn't go wrong. It was just which do you prefer?
Yeah, I was preferring a line at the time, but man, I'm glad I was wrong, and they went with Joe Burrow's guy in Jamar Chase, and apparently they live right next to each other. So
yeah, I believe it.
Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow can just go practice routes whenever they want.
They throw over the fence every day. Yeah, definitely.
But,
who'd you get at tight end?
I went Dan Ross too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Damn, we got...
Yeah, our Bengals team
Damn it.
Very similar.
Yeah, it is. I was hoping for more debate, other than who our coach is.
The coach was the biggest debate so far.
Yeah. I bet we're going to have different left tackles. No way. But no,
we don't.
Yeah, Dan Ross. Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. Eifert, if he had not been hurt, probably could have gotten to this point, but he was hurt too often.
Eifert was fun to watch when he was playing, and I don't remember watching him play a ton.
I remember 1 year, it was like his second year or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah. He popped off for fantasy.
It was his second or third year in the league, and then after that, he just never stayed healthy. Then went to Jacksonville, and you know what happens in Jacksonville.
It's a staph infection.
It's where you go to die.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went with Dan Ross.
I went with Dan Ross too. I think it was the right call, but I will say I'm excited to see what Hayden Hurst can do. I think when it's all said and done, maybe Hayden Hurst is the guy.
Maybe.
If we keep
again, I think that position is definitely attainable on this team.
Yeah, I think you're not asking for a lot from Hayden Hurst to be the best franchise
to be the best tight end for the
ever.
Bengals. Yeah. Left tackle.
Anthony Munoz.
Come on, yeah, it's Munoz by a mile.
Yeah, there was no.
I mean, this is probably the blue chip player on this team. Like 11 Pro Bowls, 9-time first team All Pro, 2-time second team All Pro, 80s All Decade team, NFL 75th and 100th anniversary teams, Man of the Year, and a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, give it up for him.
That's probably the best Bengal that's ever strapped it on.
I think so. I think you could talk Ken Anderson. You could talk Ocho.
I don't. I think this is by a mile.
This is the guy. I mean, some people have their favorite Bengals of all time that aren't in alignment. But
I think favorite and best are two different things, though.
I agree. I think absolutely for him to be a blindside fucking tackle and do what he did. I mean, shout out him.
Definitely.
Yep.
Who'd you got at left guard?
Max Montoya.
Damn you, me too.
Max Montoya, 4-time Pro Bowl, 1-time second team All Pro.
Only 3 of those Pro Bowls were in Cincinnati, you bastard.
Oh, excuse me, 3 Pro Bowls. But yeah, no, just a solid guard, great guy, Bengals player. Like, just keep him in the lineup.
Yep.
Let him run.
Center, I went Rich Bram.
Same.
I hate you. 13-year-old Bengal.
A 13-year
Bengal. He was the center who paved the way for Corey Dillon.
Yep.
Not a ton of accolades in terms of Pro Bowls or All Pros.
Nope.
But a really consistent, long-time player for the organization.
I mean, if you're playing center for 13 years for the same team, you're doing something right.
Well, I think we might differ at the other guard spot, mostly because it was super unclear. Like I had no idea who the hell to put here.
Okay.
So who'd you put?
I put Bruce Kozerki.
That was down like one of the 3. I went Pat Matson.
I can't blame you for that one.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's sort of like the center position. Not a ton of accolades at the second guard spot,
which is why we start looking for consistency.
Yeah, pretty much.
High level play consistently.
Yeah. So we went for people who just like were able to fill the gaps for a long time.
Yep.
So that's what I went with. Yep. And then right tackle. This is the other one where we could differ. There are 2 off. We did. Yes,
all right. We finally got it. We differed on our moves.
I decided to go Whitworth.
I really genuinely thought about it. I was like, this is the right call for sure, but Willie Anderson needs his credit where it's due. Big Willie was just a fucking man. 71, and now we have Lyle Collins, who literally had Willie Anderson's approval to take 71, which is so cool. He is a diehard Bengal. He literally epitomizes what it means to wear the stripes. I had to go with him, even though Andrew Whitworth is absolutely proven. I had to go with Big Willie, and shout out Andrew Whitworth getting his ring.
I went with Whitworth for longevity, like play, and multiple-time Pro Bowler and All-Pro.
Yep.
All that stuff. He had all that stuff with the Bengals.
Yep.
The tackle spot, there was going to be one good tackle left out. Fortunately, we each left a different one out.
I'm glad we got to include everybody.
Yeah, everybody got in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Defense.
Okay.
At the first edge spot, so I went 4 down linemen, 3 backers.
Okay.
I went Dunlap first.
Okay.
2 Pro Bowls, all-time sack leader for the Bengals.
I have him. He's my second DN.
Okay.
I have my first DN, Coy Bacon.
Yeah.
In 1976, he had 26 sacks before they were actually counted. So he technically owns the record for most amount of sacks in a single season. Doesn't count. So
it's not verified. That's why it doesn't count.
Oh, whatever. It's the 70s. You know when someone got a sack or not. It's not like the 50s where it's like, oh, maybe he lightly touched somebody and now we're counting it as a sack. But there's film on the guy.
Yeah.
Big Coy Bacon guy, I think. At one point, he literally was getting double teamed strictly because he had the confidence to go fuck him up and would go do it anyways. So I went with him. Carlos Dunlap as my second defensive end because all-time sack leader. Stud of a guy.
It's by a decent margin too.
Yeah, and
the next closest is somebody else on this list for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who else comes close to that.
Who else comes close to Dunlap?
Dunlap, besides who you're going to talk about, I'm imagining.
Yeah, after them, it's like a 10 to 15 sack drop off.
Yeah,
till the next closest one.
Yeah.
My other edge is Trey Hendrickson.
Okay.
Mostly because 1 year in Cincinnati, 14 and a half sacks. He has at least 3 more years left on that deal.
Yep.
So if he just stays somewhere around that pace, at the end of 4 years, he'll have 40 sacks in Cincinnati at least.
Huge piece.
And I think that's enough to get him on this team for me.
We got roasted when we signed him that it was an overpay. He's not that good.
It was a risky one.
It was a gamble, but you know what? It worked out really well. I love Trey Hendrickson. Looks like he's our guy. Gonna help. Like, it doesn't matter who's in our secondary if we've got a guy like him who can just destroy O-lines.
Yep.
So, I like that.
And then D tackle. The first one for me was really easy. That was Geno Atkins.
Right.
Yep, that's the dude who's really close to Carlos Dunlap for a second, but obviously neither one are Bengals anymore, so they'll stay where they are.
Yep.
But 8-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro, 2010 All-Decade team, and second in sacks in Bengals history, like I mentioned. This was somebody that...
Geno Atkins destroyed game plans.
Yeah. He sort of gets overshadowed and lost in, like, the mix-up of Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt and other people who played along the D-line. Mm-hmm. And also it doesn't help that he was in Cincinnati.
Yep.
And nothing against Cincinnati. I'm just talking, like, in terms of a lot of these other teams just were on national TV more, were in big games more, and just had a better marketing team, I guess. But Geno Atkins in his time was an absolute game wrecker for Cincinnati.
Total stud. I remember I remember he was someone you watch out for in Madden every day. Like, every time I started playing in a franchise and the Bengals came up, it didn't matter what my O-line was, Geno Atkins was going to sack me 3 times.
I don't get sacked.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Second D tackle, Tim Crumry.
I got him too.
Yep.
Damn 2 Pro Bowls, first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro, played in the Super Bowl with a broken leg, and then came back and played in the opener.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, wear the stripes, brother. What a fucking tiger. What a Bengal, baby.
Exactly.
What a fucking Bengal.
That's a very, very tough person. Unfortunately, played in a losing effort in the Super Bowl, but mad respect for going in there with a broken leg. There's only a few players that have done that. Terrell Owens did that, also in a Super Bowl. They lost also.
So playing a Super Bowl with a broken leg is bad luck, apparently.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or it's just because
there's only a few guys that have done anything like that. Like Rivers played an AFC Championship with a torn ACL.
Crazy.
Like, the dudes that do that, listen, you can talk all the shit you want about Rivers. Dude was a tough son of a bitch. But anybody that does that...
I gotta give it to him there.
Mad respect.
Gotta give it to him there.
Tim Crumry, second D tackle on this team. Moving to linebacker.
Okay.
Middle linebacker, I got Reggie Williams.
Middle linebacker, I went Takeo Spikes.
Really?
Yeah, fan favorite of the team. I remember Takeo Spikes was not on for a long time.
No, I think he was there... Was it 4 years?
3 or 4 years. Not a long time for sure, but quickly became a fan favorite. And again, this is a guy who I picked specifically because he wore the stripes well.
I went with Reggie Williams because, much like Takeo Spikes, neither one of them had a ton of accolades while they were with this team. But this was a 14-year-old guy. He was the heart of a 14-year-old guy. I keep saying that.
14-year-old guy.
This was a
Another prodigy.
This was a 14-year Bengal who was the heart of a defense that got the Bengals to a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And again, another fan favorite. All the dudes that stick around for more than 10 years
are gonna be.
They're good enough. Like, they're good players that they didn't need to be replaced. And so that's what I got there. I got Reggie Williams as my Mike backer.
I got him as my left outside linebacker. I want him rushing.
Okay.
I also have him down as a Walter Payton Man of the Year. And then No, I think you already mentioned All-Pro, something like that.
Reggie Williams?
Yeah.
No, he never had. He didn't get a ton of accolades.
That's right. It was some team. I can't read my own fucking handwriting all of a sudden, which is the worst thing about this. But hey, he was something on an all-blank team, and I think
he was all something.
He was all something. And Walter Payton Man of the Year, which we do love to bring up.
Yes, we do.
Good guy in the locker room.
My first outside backer is Jim LeClaire.
I have him as my right.
All right. So he was a one-time Pro Bowler, a 12-year Bengal, who was also essential to those defenses that made the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then who you got as your other backer?
Takeo Spikes, Jim LeClaire, and Reggie Williams.
Okay. My third one's perfect.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
But here's the reason I did it.
Yeah.
Is because honestly, there's not a ton of acclaim in the Bengals linebacking core.
Yep.
And I need somebody, especially when you see some of the other guys that are on these other teams that this team had to theoretically play against. I need somebody that could hit a certain level.
Sure.
And even if it was for a year, Burfict was a Pro Bowler, a second-team All-Pro, and he's the type of nasty linebacker that the Bengals would need to take on the hard-nosed teams of this division. And I mean, listen, again, it was for a year. He played good for about 2 or 3, but 1 year he got like a claim for it.
Yeah.
So I went with Burfict.
And then he just went full retard.
Oh yeah, but yeah, he absolutely did. But listen, a lot of players do that. But
It happens.
in his time when he actually was playing for Cincinnati, he hit a decently high level for a linebacker.
He did.
So I got him as my other outside backer.
He did. I went with a guy I could trust a little bit more.
I don't blame you. I shot for
Unfortunately.
upside.
And fair enough. I'll give it to you there. But yeah, I remember. I remember being hurt for Cincinnati Bengals fans watching that game.
The Steelers game?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Yep.
Honestly,
I remember being
and listen,
oh.
I like the Steelers much more than I like the Bengals.
But you never want to see
I
that.
was
you
like,
never want to see it.
Well, I felt bad because it was just like it's been hanging over their head all week.
They had it in their
told
hands.
that all week they never win playoff games.
Yep.
And it's right there. And to say they shit the bed
is an understatement.
yeah.
I think that's where I started hearing Bungles more than I heard Bengals.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd heard that a lot.
I heard Bungles for a long time, but like being in Arizona, no one cared about the AFC North. I have one friend who's a diehard Steelers fan and hates me for being a Bengals fan now.
Why would he care?
Deej.
Why would he care?
Sorry, Deej.
Listen, if I'm being honest, like Steelers fans, there's no need to punch down, guys. Okay?
You guys have it all.
I'm just saying.
They're like, we're gonna get to you guys in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, we're gonna get you guys in a little bit.
It's unfair.
Listen, this team.
I was clinically depressed.
I'm gonna be very honest. Part of the reason I shot for upside, bringing in Burfict, is the Bengals roster at points can get a little underwhelming. So I shot for like the guys that would be like, if you catch them on the right day, it's a knockout punch.
There are some, I was going through the entire Bengals roster, and unfortunately, I did the Bengals right after I did the Steelers. So I did Steelers first. I'm like,
well, listen, I am insisting we do the Steelers last.
Okay, we'll do Steelers last but absolutely, starting with them and then going to the Bengals was like,
yikes!
I was like, guys. They have like a whole team of Hall of Famers.
Exactly. So, but
like,
moving on from linebacker.
Yeah.
Corner 1, I got Lamar Parrish.
We have the same. With Ken Riley for 1, Lamar Parrish for 2.
Why'd you go Ken Riley 1?
4-time All-Pro, 65 interceptions.
For the Bengals?
I mean, honestly, CB1 and CB2 could be interchangeable.
I went Lamar Parrish 1, 6 Pro Bowls, a first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro. Ken Riley, what I got for my Bengals stats is he was a 1-time All-Pro and a 2-time second-team All-Pro.
I got 4. I don't know. Maybe I looked at the wrong thing, but I have.
We might have whatever. We might have found
different. Yeah, we might have had different sources. I have him.
I also could have messed up my math if he ever played for multiple teams. Like counting my stuff.
Maybe it was one time All Pro for the Bengals, but I'm looking at
because every time I go through it, if they play for multiple teams, I cut it and do the math, and I only count how many times they did it for that team.
That's fair.
That could be where we're losing each other in translation.
That might be it. I looked at the 65 picks. And that is for the Bengals, and I was like, boom, problem solved there. And then with Lamar Parrish, granted, 6 Pro Bowls, 47 picks, 13 touchdowns off those picks, which
I think that's a record for the Bengals. It might be a league record.
Gotta be. That's a lot.
Definitely a Bengals record.
That's a lot of fucking touchdowns. But also, he was our returner, so I don't even have to find a returner on this team anymore. Lamar Parrish can play 2 roles.
I have a second one as a returner, just as a shout-out one, basically. Okay. But Lamar Parrish is it's the one.
It's the guy.
But, okay, so then moving on to safety, who you got?
I got David Fulcher as my strong safety, 2-time All-Pro.
I got him as strong safety also.
31 picks, easy peasy.
Yep, free safety.
Tommy Casanova.
Okay, I'm glad we had this conversation a little earlier. If they keep Jesse Bates, he will have that spot by the end of it with the Bengals.
No, we will not keep him. That's the issue.
Well, you don't know.
I don't think we keep him.
I think the Bengals want to keep him.
I don't think we want to keep him for the safety market.
No, but then you shouldn't have tagged them.
And I think it was to tag him, and then we lowballed him, which he obviously said no to.
Okay, so here's what I'll say. If Jesse Bates leaves the Bengals,
Yeah.
If he stays in Cincinnati, I'm projecting going forward he would take that safety spot.
And we'll see. I mean, if he ends up staying, I think that'd be great for this defense. Great for the locker room.
Well, your secondary doesn't have much beyond him.
Yeah.
So that would be a big problem for you.
Exactly. But also at the same time, kind of what I look at is like, I don't know, especially if we're going to become a team that has to pay all these young guys, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow.
You're not going to keep Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You're going to let one of them go.
I think we let Tyler Boyd go.
I think we pay T. Higgins. I think the only
Jamar
one
Chase.
you absolutely keep is Jamar Chase.
Without a doubt.
Because
Jamar Chase is on. I could see T. Higgins.
No, I could see T.
somewhere
Higgins.
else.
I could see T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd going somewhere else because I think they at some point might want to. Like they might want to go and prove like, hey, I can do that thing. I don't know. I think you got to pick and choose, and I think. Well, here's the other thing.
Well, if you can have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on a team,
Yeah.
like, why do we have to pick and choose?
Well, you got to pick and choose because you can't let your defense become awful.
I think the defense is fine.
But your secondary is about to be trash if Jesse Bates leaves.
We drafted a free safety in the first round, Daxton Hill. Which, granted, he's not going to be Jesse Bates right out of the gate.
No, that's
I'm not
fine.
saying that. But
That's fine, but-
I think there was an insurance policy.
But moving
here.
forward, I'll say this: if he remains on that team, he'll be the second safety on this team.
A little bit of a projection, but I think a valid.
Again, like I said, I feel very comfortable with putting projections on the Bengals.
I think you're gonna have to, but I think that's a good look at the free safety position of it's either Jesse Bates if he stays or it's a guy who crushed it.
Yep. All right, so on to special teams.
My favorite.
Now, this is important for Cincinnati more than other teams because they are probably going to be settling for kicking and punting,
Fuck
possibly.
You. Fuck you.
I'm just
I
saying.
knew you were saying that shit.
So kicker, I got Shane Graham because he's got the highest field goal percentage.
Okay.
We can't be missing when we get those shots.
Absolutely. I have Jim Breach, Super Bowl guy. Would have potentially been Super Bowl MVP if we had been able to hold off with our 16-14 lead, whatever the heck it was. But yeah, no, it obviously did not
Cool
happen.
Joe, baby.
Obviously.
That's the real Joe Cool.
I never said Joe Burrow is Joe Cool. I call him Joe Shiesty or Joe Burr.
We can keep that.
best.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like those a lot.
Anybody that ever said Joe Cool pissed me off.
Joe Cool has always been Joe Montana. In
Yeah.
the same way that Joe Cool has never been Joe Namath. Like, even though Joe Namath
That's
was
Broadway Joe
cool,
all day.
Yeah, that's Broadway Joe. Like,
But yeah.
that's- Joe Cool is specifically one person.
All right, so you got the kicker from that era. Who you got at punter?
I went with Pat McInally.
I went Kevin Huber,
Okay.
mostly because, again, I think this Bengals team would have to play a field position game.
Sure.
And he had the highest percentage of the longest averages of punt average and
Yeah.
the highest percentage of getting them inside the 20.
He's our guy.
So that's why I went with him.
He's our guy. He's a little bit of a modern guy. Obviously, he's the guy who we have on our roster now, so a little bit of a modern guy is a bit of an understatement.
A completely modern guy.
Completely
fact.
modern guy, yeah.
Yeah, some might say.
I went with Pat strictly because dude was an athlete, played wide receiver for us as well.
Yep.
And at the same time, only player to get a 100% on the one look.
There you go.
Smart guy.
All right.
I was like, if you're smart, you can figure out the modern.
You can
punting
punt
game.
for me.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're an athlete and you're smart, you can figure out the modern game.
We sort of also addressed who the main returner is for
Yeah.
us. It'd be Lamar Parrish.
Yep.
But I wanted to throw a shout out in there for Pac-Man Jones because
Okay.
as a punt returner, he was really, really good.
Yeah.
And we all have seen the video of how he caught the 6 balls. That was with Dallas, but he obviously he was a skilled special teamer as well.
Dude could do it.
But yeah, it's we've already established it's Lamar Parrish.